श्री किरण रिजिजू जी, माननीय केंद्रीय कानून और न्याय मंत्री। और अब आपसे निवेदन है अपने स्थान पर खड़े होने के लिए राष्ट्रगान के लिए।
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
दिव्य सज्जनों, आप सभी को पुनः नमस्कार और आज के हमारे इस विशेष कार्यक्रम में एनवीडी 2022 के समारोह में हार्दिक स्वागत, अभिनंदन। और जैसा कि आप सभी जानते हैं कि भारत निर्वाचन आयोग की स्थापना 25 जनवरी 1950 को हुई थी और वर्ष 2011 में आयोग ने ये फैसला किया कि इस दिन को, इस तारीख को, इस दिवस को मतदाताओं को समर्पित किया जाए। और तब से 25 जनवरी को हम राष्ट्रीय मतदाता दिवस के रूप में भी मनाते आए हैं। और आज का हमारा राष्ट्रीय मतदाता दिवस एनवीडी 2022 अपने आप में बहुत अधिक महत्वपूर्ण है, बहुत विशेष है, क्योंकि जैसा आप सभी जानते हैं कि इस साल हम अपनी आज़ादी की 75वीं वर्षगांठ मना रहे हैं। एंड देन लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, इट इज ऑल्सो द 70th ईयर when the elections were held for the first time in the country. If you know that the elections were held for the first time in the country in 1951-52. So we have definitely come a long way since then. And as we celebrate NVD 2022, it is definitely an occasion for us, an opportunity for us to showcase the immense strides which we have been able to make as a nation in our electoral processes and in our systems, the changes, the initiatives which we have been able to take in making our elections more free and fair, more safe, secure, accessible and participative. And at the same time also introspect and then look forward. पीछे की तरफ देखते हुए, विश्लेषण करते हुए आगे देखें कि अब हमें आगे और क्या करना है. What needs to be further done in making our elections more inclusive, more accessible, more participative, especially for the women, for the people with disabilities and for the senior citizens. And this is what is the importance of NVD 2022 and the theme समावेशी, सुगम एवं सहभागी निर्वाचन की ओर अग्रसर। तो आज का दिन हमारी लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्था का एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण दिन है, विशेष दिन है। और इस विशेष अवसर पर आयोग की तरफ से सभी का स्वागत करने के लिए मैं माननीय चुनाव आयुक्त श्री अनूप चंद्र पांडे जी से निवेदन करती हूँ, आमंत्रित करती हूँ उन्हें उनके स्वागत संदेश के लिए।
Honorable Law Minister Shri Kiran Rijiju ji, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner Shri Sushil Chandra ji, Honorable Election Commissioner Shri Rajiv Kumar ji, Secretary General Shri Umesh Sinha ji, Honorable former Chief Election Commissioners, distinguished representatives of political parties, esteemed guests from the media, young electors, award winners, ladies and gentlemen. It is my proud privilege to welcome you all to this 12th National Voters' Day function today. I am grateful to our Honorable Vice President, Shri Venkaiah Naidu ji, who, despite being bedridden due to COVID, has sent his chief guest message, which we would be reading before you later in the function. I extend a very warm welcome to Honorable Sri Kiran Rijijuji, Union Minister of Law and Justice. His ministry has always been very supportive in all the initiatives of the Commission. In 1950, when India became a democracy, we embraced the system of universal adult suffrage, a right to vote for all Indian citizens above 21 years of age, irrespective of their caste, creed, sex, or educational qualifications. This was a unique debut in the global democratic world. Even in US, which was considered as a paradigm for democracy, the voting rights had been given in phases. Thus began our electoral odyssey, a globally unique democratic experiment of elections with symbols, emphatically defying the reservations of the doubting Jonases all over the world on its long-term survival. When we look back, we are reminded of the incessant and redoubtable endeavors of our illustrious predecessors in the Commission in negotiating tough socio-economic, demographic, geographic, and lingual challenges that characterize the diversities of this largest democracy of the world. Successive election commissions have striven hard to achieve successfully the twin objectives of ensuring, firstly, increased electoral participation, and secondly, free, fair, and impartial elections based on level playing field for all contestants. Nvd celebrations every year remind us of the constitutional obligation of the Commission based on the premise of no voter to be left behind. Nvd 2022 marks 70 successful years of elections in India. These celebrations fall in the 75th year of the Indian independence. Election Commission was established on 25th January 1950. Today, it happens to be the 73rd foundation day of the Commission. Let me inform you all that this Nvd event celebrated today is the largest simultaneous celebration of electoral democracy in the world. Each year, Nvd celebrations set forth a theme for that year, which is followed by year-long related activities. The theme for the 12th Nvd 2022 this year is making our elections inclusive, accessible, and participative. Over all these years, the electoral process has been a saga of targeted interventions to reduce gender gaps, to engage with young voters, to ensure accessible elections for the PWDs and the aged, to ensure affirmative action for the vulnerable and the marginalized, and the enhanced outreach for the migrants. The journey from ballot boxes to EVMs and VVPATs is a story of technical initiatives ensuring safe, transparent, foolproof electoral practices, and also empowering the voters through user-friendly apps. Over the years, the Commission has insisted on doorstep delivery services through an efficient network of field staff. Technology has been deployed to cut down on discretion and ensure level playing field to all the political parties. The Commission, since 2009, has embarked on increasing its outreach through SWEEP, which is its flagship multimedia voter education program. There have been common interventions as well as targeted interventions to ensure participative, inclusive, inducement-free, and accessible elections. A number of new initiatives like electoral literacy clubs, community radio, web radio, and 360-degree communications have been started in SWEEP. All women managed polling stations and PWD managed polling stations in all constituencies are set up to encourage participation of women and PWDs. Voter facilitation centers and voter helplines are set up. This year, a Know Your Candidate portal has been started to educate the voters about the candidate details, including criminal antecedents, if any. This year, a big challenge is how to conduct elections during COVID. It is a trade-off between campaign outreach of the candidates and political parties vis-a-vis safety concerns during a pandemic. COVID guidelines enunciated and SOPs developed are a fine balancing act arrived at to achieve these twin objectives. The future holds immense potential for newer technological innovations, for honing our communication strategies, and for ensuring ease of participation in the electoral process, to ensure that this largest democracy remains a leader in global democratic practices and our electoral processes are a beacon light to the entire world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the tone and the context of this day and especially highlighting the various new initiatives which the Commission has taken towards making the elections more inclusive, accessible and participative. दिव्य सज्जनों, एनवीडी पर हर साल आयोग द्वारा उसके उत्कृष्ट अधिकारियों को राज्य स्तर के और जिला स्तर के और साथ साथ जो मुख्य हितधारक हैं जैसे कि सीएसओज, मीडिया ग्रुप्स और नेशनल आइकॉन्स, उन्हें सम्मानित किया जाता है उनके उत्कृष्ट कार्य के लिए और साथ साथ मतदाताओं की जागरूकता के प्रति उनके बहुमूल्य योगदान के लिए नेशनल अवार्ड्स फॉर बेस्ट इलेक्टोरल प्रैक्टिसेस प्रदान कर इस साल राष्ट्रीय मतदाता पुरस्कार 2022 प्रदान किए जाएंगे। तो आगे बढ़ते हुए इन पुरस्कारों के बारे में आपको और जानकारी देते हैं और इसके लिए मैं निवेदन करती हूं माननीय इलेक्शन कमिश्नर श्री राजीव कुमार जी को।
Honorable Union Law Minister Shri Kiran Rijiju ji, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner Shri Sushil Chandra ji, Honorable Election Commissioner Shri Anup Chand Pandey ji, former Chief Election Commissioners Shri Naveen Chawla Sahab, Shri Sunil Arora ji, Secretary General Umesh ji, the voters physically present here and virtually connected to us on this program, distinguished heads and representatives of the political parties, award winners and distinguished guests. सर्वप्रथम 12th नेशनल डे पर आप सबको हार्दिक स्वागत और बधाई. As you know, the tradition of democracy and democratic practices are deep rooted in India. Various references cited in text refer to the republican forms of governments that existed in many parts in ancient India. Vaishali, the 6th century BC, is referred as a republic and thereby making it one of the world's earliest republic. India, as you all know, became a democratic republic on 26 January 1950 and the Election Commission was set up and came into being on 25th January, a day before. That signifies the creation of a constitutional body a day before as a commitment of our founding fathers to the spirit of democracy and celebrating the resolve of every citizen. And it is this form of governance that could accommodate the kaleidoscopic diversities and asymmetries of this vast country. Over the last 70 years, this democratic structure has sustained various socio-political experiments aimed at group empowerment, and it has always been through a peaceful transfer of power through ballot. That's what this democratic institution has been doing. The tradition of celebrating the National Voters' Day started in 2011, and ECI then decided to dedicate it to the voters of the country. The theme of this year's NVD is making elections inclusive, accessible, and participative. I'll just elaborate on all these three a bit. So first, to illustrate the level of participation, there are over 932 million registered voters in India. and participation of women has increased from around 45% in the first general election held in 1951-52 to 67% in the 17th general election held in 2019. India has witnessed recently 235% increase in female participation since 1971 elections. It's not a small feast. Similarly, democratic roots amongst our youth are also well nurtured. The number of young voters is more than 25% of the total electoral base and over 23 crores. So this is how slowly it is passing on to the newer generations. And the level of their keenness to get registered themselves is reflected by the fact there are more than 2 crore voters who have got registered this year during this special survey. And I'm sure that the new amendments brought with the passage of the Election Law Amendment Act 2021, of course with the special effort and involvement of the Law Minister, will now provide for quarterly registration of voters and thereby further paving the way for more and more registration of the youth. So this was about participation, a bit on the accessibility. बुजुर्गों का अनुभव हमारे लिए महत्वपूर्ण है और लोकतंत्र में उनकी निष्ठा हमें प्रेरणा देती है। पहले आम चुनावों से लेकर आज तक उनकी सहभागिता से वरिष्ठ नागरिकों ने लोकतंत्र की गरिमा को बढ़ाया है और युवा पीढ़ी को लोकतंत्र के पथ पर चलते रहने के लिए प्रेरित किया है। इसी प्रकार पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटीज का समाज में एक बहुत विशिष्ट योगदान है। वास्तव में वो कई मायनों में हमसे ज़्यादा सक्षम है। So it's differently abled is generally more able than us in many fields. And चुनाव में उनकी भागीदारी लोकतंत्र को और अधिक मजबूत करती है। PCI ने इसको अपने दायित्व के रूप में लिया है। The recent amongst various initiatives, the recent has been the extension of postal ballot facilities to the voters who are 80 plus and the PWDs so that they can vote from the comfort of their home. Having greeted the voters, I would like to thank the representatives of the political parties who have graced this occasion. They have immensely contributed in making our democracy truly vibrant. PCI is committed to providing level playing field to all candidates and political parties so that voters can participate without fear or favor. आज जिनको प्राइज मिलने वाले हैं, कुछ उनके विषय में, भारत जैसे भौगोलिक और भाषाई रूप से विविध देश में चुनावों का आयोजन करना एक बहुत ही दुष्कर और कठिन कार्य है। 10 लाख से अधिक मतदान केंद्र और 1 करोड़ से अधिक कर्मी इसमें शामिल होते हैं। इसकी जटिलताएं प्रोसेस बाय प्रोसेस कल्पना से परे हैं। फिर भी पूरा सिस्टम एक वेल ऑयल्ड मशीन की तरह काम करता है। समय पर जिस समय जो चीज़ होनी है वो वैसे ही होती है। मैं कहीं भी जाना पड़े वोटर्स के लिए, नाव से, पुल से, पहाड़ी इलाके में सब जगह मतदान कर्मी मौजूद होते हैं। मैं राष्ट्रीय मतदान दिवस के अवसर पर यहाँ उपस्थित और वीडियो के जरिए एनवीडी में भाग लेने वाले सभी चुनाव कर्मियों और मिलियंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस ऑफ द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स एंड पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस को भी धन्यवाद करता हूँ। एंड एज ए रिकॉग्निशन ऑफ देयर डिलिजेंट एंड इनोवेटिव एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी वर्क, the national awards are given in various categories. The awards are to honor the extraordinary commitment for the duty, and I congratulate all the awardees. With the Election Commission of India having several reforms plans at various stages of actualization, the future of elections is indeed filled with dynamic possibilities, especially through enhanced use of information technology across the electoral process and the welfare of voters. Friends, I am reminded of Mahatma Gandhi, who said, under democracy, even the weakest shall have the same opportunity as the strongest. We wish to walk the path of such foresight and continue to enhance participation of all sections of society. The Commission is fully committed to continue to make elections a faithful reflection of electors' verdict. Elections in India have a rich past, and I am confident that they will have a glorious future. Greetings of the Voter Day once again, and thank you very much. Jai Hind.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। इलेक्शंस का क्या महत्व है, डेमोक्रेसी क्या, इसके बारे में आपके विचारों को हमारे साथ साझा करने का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। साथ साथ पुरस्कारों के बारे में भी आपने जानकारी दी, धन्यवाद। देवी सज्जनों, आज इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट कॉन्टेस्ट लॉन्च करने जा रहा है और ये नेशनल वोटर अवेयरनेस कॉन्टेस्ट है और शायद सबसे बड़ा ऑनलाइन कॉन्टेस्ट है वोटर अवेयरनेस की तरफ। और इस कॉन्टेस्ट में सभी आयु वर्ग के लोग भाग ले सकते हैं और स्वीप प्रोग्राम के तहत लिए गए अनेक इनिशिएटिव्स में से ये एक और पहल की जा रही है। This contest is actually an endeavor to unleash the potential, the creativity and the innovativeness of the young minds, and in the process strengthen our democracy through their active participation. इस कॉन्टेस्ट की थीम है माई वोट इज़ माई फ्यूचर, पावर ऑफ वन वोट, और उद्देश्य लोकतंत्र में हर एक वोट के महत्व को दोहराते हुए देश भर से इनोवेटिव कंटेंट को क्राउडसोर्स करना। तो अब इस कॉन्टेस्ट को लॉन्च करते हैं और इसके लिए मैं निवेदन करती हूँ श्री सुशील चंद्रा जी को, मुख्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त, इस कॉन्टेस्ट को लॉन्च करने के लिए रिमोट का बटन दबाकर। So ladies and gentlemen, get your minds racing, encourage others also to participate in it, and must I mention here, there are very exciting prizes also towards that, prizes in cash as well as in kind. और अब निर्वाचन आयोग द्वारा प्रकाशित उनकी 2 पत्रिकाओं का यहाँ पर विमोचन किया जाएगा। पहली पत्रिका है लीप ऑफ फेथ, जर्नी ऑफ इंडियन इलेक्शंस, and this is a coffee table book. But before we have the launch, we have a short film towards it.
The book Leap of Faith, Journey of Indian Elections takes you on a guided tour of India's electoral history. Diligently researched from accredited sources, the book contextualizes the very role of elections in the making of modern India. The publication that coincides with the 75th year of India's independence tells you how the demand for independence actually began with a demand for elections to councils. The Election Commission of India, by efficiently conducting the first general election in 1951-52, ushered in the world's largest democracy when the process was a rarity outside the West. As a keeper of the flame, the Commission acted with pragmatism and wisdom to capture the vox populi through thick and thin of the post-independence era. There have been innovations like the EVM, an electoral photo identity card, besides rigorous implementation of the Model Code of Conduct. Beyond enforcement, the Commission's vision for the 21st century was for making the elections more participatory, inclusive and voter-friendly, that was actualized more emphatically in the 17th general elections in 2019, the most participatory Lok Sabha elections till date, rightly called Desh Ka Mahatyohar. As the democratic processes were adversely affected the world over during the current pandemic, the Election Commission of India developed a protocol to conduct safe, inclusive and orderly elections. The Commission is constantly pushing its technological, managerial and sociological frontiers that has put the institution on the world map and has a strategic roadmap ahead for making elections more inclusive, participatory, clean and transparent, as this book narrates.
और अब मैं माननीय मंत्री जी और मंचासीन हमारा कमीशन सभी से निवेदन करती हूँ इस पत्रिका का विमोचन करने के लिए. This book, ladies and gentlemen, as you heard, is an offering from the Election Commission of India to mark the 75th year of India's independence. It narrates the story of elections as an institution in India from the colonial times to the 21st century. The title resonates well with the journey of elections in India. It was definitely a leap of faith that India undertook in implementing universal adult franchise when barely 1/5 of our population was literate. That was in 1951, and not more than a dozen of democracies dotted the world map post-World War II, and also in the present scenario when the elections have been conducted safely and successfully amidst COVID pandemic. दूसरी पत्रिका है Pledging to Vote, a decadal journey of NVD in India. इसके विमोचन से पहले इसकी तरफ प्रस्तुत है एक फिल्म.
National Voters' Day is celebrated across the country on January 25th every year to mark the foundation of the Election Commission of India. Nvd celebrations remind us of our constitutional right of universal adult suffrage, granted to every Indian citizen irrespective of religion, caste, community, language, region or socio-economic status. The main purpose of the Nvd celebration is to encourage, facilitate and maximize enrollment, especially for the new voters. New electors are felicitated with elector's photo identity card and a badge with its logo, proud to be a voter, ready to vote. The celebration extends to the vast expanse of the country, down to the remotest of polling station areas, making it the largest annual celebration of democracy in the world. On this day, voters across the country take the NVD pledge and Best Electoral Practices Awards are presented for innovation, excellence and proficiency in election processes and procedures at the national and state level. Also, an annual theme is carefully identified for NVD celebrations to define the focus area for year-long activities. The thematic progression of NVD has acted as a catalyst for several strategic programs of the Commission for enhancing electoral participation. Pledging to Vote, a decadal journey of National Voters' Day in India, presents the journey of these nationwide celebrations, and also a consolidated picture of action plans and other interventions by ECI that have supported the Commission in the fulfillment of its constitutional mandate for free, fair, inclusive, accessible, transparent and participative elections. Dedicated to the voters of the country, this publication, especially its pictorials, are sure to inspire all, especially those who serve as frontline warriors of electoral democracy.
और इस पत्रिका का विमोचन करने के लिए पुनः मंचासीन सभी से निवेदन. This book, ladies and gentlemen, as you heard and saw, presents a vivid picture of NVD celebration since its inception. NVD's journey is a continuum as an integral part of electoral democracy in the country. इसमें NVD समारोह के मुख्य अतिथियों के संबोधन, मुख्य चुनाव आयुक्त के भाषण, संदेश, कर्टन रेजर, प्रेस नोट के साथ-साथ वर्षों से राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार विजेताओं की जानकारी दी गई है. This publication, especially its pictorials, are sure to inspire millions of other personnel who serve as frontline warriors of electoral democracy. And this year, ladies and gentlemen, 1.37 crore new voters have been added in the voter list. एंड दीज आर द न्यू वोटर्स जो कि 1 जनवरी 2022 को 18 वर्ष के हुए हैं और ऐसे भी हैं जो पहली बार वोट करेंगे। और हर साल हमारे नए वोटर्स को एनवीडी पर उनका एपिक कार्ड प्रदान किया जाता है, पर इस साल से पूरा एपिक किट उन्हें दिया जाएगा और इस एपिक किट में वोटर गाइड है, वोटर कार्ड है और साथ साथ एक पर्सनलाइज्ड लेटर भी है। हमारे साथ यहाँ पर हमारे 5 नए वोटर्स हैं जो सभी नए वोटर्स को यहाँ पर रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं और जिन्हें अब एपिक कार्ड दिया जाएगा। मैं माननीय मंत्री जी से, श्री किरण रिजिजू जी से निवेदन करना चाहूँगी कि इन 5 नए वोटर्स को उनका एपिक किट प्रदान कर उन्हें प्रोत्साहित करें। मंच पर, हाँ जी सर, आपसे निवेदन करना चाहेंगे मंच के सामने आकर इन्हें सम्मानित करें और हमारे 5 नए वोटर्स आपकी तालियों के साथ ही यहाँ पर आपका प्रोत्साहन मिलेगा इन्हें। आदित्य कुमार, आदित्य कुमार हमारे साथ यहाँ पर मंच में। मिस सपना, आपको ये भी बताना चाहेंगे कि अब आपका वोटर कार्ड आपके आधार कार्ड के साथ लिंक्ड है। मंच पर अब खुशी और साथ साथ अब न्यूली एनरोल्ड वोटर्स, न्यू वोटर्स के लिए 4 क्वालिफाइंग डेट्स हैं। जैसा कि आपको बताया गया कि 1 जनवरी को जो 18 वर्ष के हुए हैं उसके साथ साथ 1 जनवरी, अप्रैल, जुलाई और अक्टूबर भी है। अब यहाँ पर मंच पर अजय दुबे, अजय दुबे और संचित शर्मा। And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I request the Honourable Minister and everyone to remain in front of the dais as we now roll out the red carpet for our awardees. तो देवी सज्जनों, सर्वश्रेष्ठ राज्य पुरस्कार और शुरुआत करते हैं राज्यों के लिए उत्कृष्टता पुरस्कारों से। सबसे पहले मैं विशेष रूप से माननीय मंत्री जी से, श्री किरण रिजिजू जी से निवेदन करती हूँ हमारे पुरस्कार विजेताओं को सम्मानित करने का। सबसे पहला पुरस्कार दिया जाता है श्री सत्यव्रत साहू, मुख्य निर्वाचन अधिकारी, तमिलनाडु को। आपने वर्ष 2021 के दौरान तमिलनाडु राज्य में विधानसभा निर्वाचन को आईटी पहल, सुरक्षा प्रबंधन और अन्य संबंध पहलुओं पर विशेष ध्यान देकर संचालित किया, जिसके परिणाम स्वरूप निर्वाचनों का स्वतंत्र और निष्पक्ष तरीके से संचालन हो पाया। अगला पुरस्कार दिया जाता है श्री नितिन खाड़े, मुख्य निर्वाचन अधिकारी, असम को। महामारी से उत्पन्न चुनौतियों के बावजूद असम विधानसभा के साधारण निर्वाचन 2021 का सही मायनों में समावेशी, सुगम, नैतिक, पारदर्शी, शांतिपूर्ण और सुरक्षित तरीके से संचालन करने के लिए आपको सम्मानित किया जाता है। और अब सर्वश्रेष्ठ निर्वाचन पद्धति पुरस्कार, निर्वाचन पद्धति के लिए पुरस्कार दिया जाता है श्रीमती मुक्ता आर्य को, जिला निर्वाचन अधिकारी, हावड़ा, पश्चिम बंगाल। निर्वाचन प्रबंधन के लिए उन्हें पुरस्कार दिया जा रहा है। सभी मतदान केंद्रों में सुनिश्चित न्यूनतम सुविधाओं की 100% व्यवस्था सुनिश्चित करने और परिवहन एवं अन्य सुविधाओं को प्रदान करने के लिए आपके प्रयासों के लिए आपको सम्मानित किया जा रहा है। We now have the Best Electoral Practices Award for Voter Education and Electoral Participation awarded to Shri Sumit Gupta, DEO, North 24 Parganas, West Bengal. Awarded for undertaking intensive voter education activities in low enrollment and low voter turnout assembly constituencies and polling stations for West Bengal Legislative Assembly elections 2021. We now have for innovative measures awarded to Ms. Varnali Deka, DEO Golpara. Awarded for consolidating persons with disability database for accurate identification and marking of such voters, increasing the PWD voters from 1,931 to 10,544, and for organizing portion clubs and also Divyang Sati app for the PWD voters. माननीय मंत्री जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और अब मैं निवेदन करना चाहूंगी चीफ इलेक्शन कमिश्नर श्री सुशील चंद्रा जी को. We now have the Best Electoral Award, the special category for expenditure monitoring, and the award is presented to Shri Praveen Kumar, Director General of Income Tax Investigation. Awarded for curbing election malpractices with vigilant raids to monitor the movement of cash and valuables during election time, he conducted 83 searches in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, seizing some 103 crore rupees of cash and valuables, and also developed strategies for the coordination among enforcement agencies. The next we have the special award for security management being awarded to Shri Deepak Kumar Kedia. Awarded for effective coordination with the Central Armed Police Force for smooth induction, deployment and dispatch, thus ensuring peaceful conduct of general elections of Assam Legislative Assembly 2021. We now have the Best Electoral Practices Award for IT Initiatives awarded to Shri V. Vishnu, DEO, Tirunelveli District, Tamil Nadu. Awarded for noble IT initiatives like Vakuchavadi Vazikati with 360-degree vigilance, enabling geotagging of all 1,924 polling stations in the district. A remarkable system to monitor social media and fake news was also developed for MCC and expenditure surveillance. अगला पुरस्कार दिया जाता है डॉक्टर के सेंथिल राज, जिला निर्वाचन अधिकारी थुथुकुडी जिला तमिलनाडु को मतदाता शिक्षा और निर्वाचन भागीदारी के लिए. आपको ट्रांसजेंडर, नारी कुरवार और वृद्धाश्रम में रहने वाले लोगों के 100% नामांकन पर ध्यान केंद्रित करते हुए स्वीप अभियान का आयोजन करने और स्कूली बच्चों के माध्यम से पूरे जिले के निर्वाचकों को मतदाता जागरूक संदेश वाले पोस्टकार्ड भेजने के लिए सम्मानित किया जाता है. अगला पुरस्कार मतदाता शिक्षा और निर्वाचन भागीदारी के लिए दिया जाता है श्रीमती कीर्ति जल्ली, जिला निर्वाचन अधिकारी कछार सिलचर को. गर्भ कछार मेगा और प्रोनोरेनी जैसे अभियानों का आयोजन करके मतदाताओं को उत्साहित करने के लिए उठाए गए व्यापक कदमों के लिए जिनके परिणाम स्वरूप 18 से 19 वर्ष आयु वर्ग में निर्वाचनों की संख्या 6,923 से बढ़कर 27,780 हो गई. श्री सुशील चंद्रा जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और अब मैं निवेदन करती हूँ श्री राजीव कुमार जी को पुरस्कार देने के लिए. आईटी पहल के लिए विशेष पुरस्कार दिया जाता है तकनीकी सलाहकार समूह टैग को. टैग के सदस्यगण हैं चेयरपर्सन प्रोफेसर रजत मूना, डायरेक्टर आईआईटी भिलाई, प्रोफेसर जी शिवा कुमार, प्रोफेसर आईआईटी बॉम्बे, श्री एच कृष्णमूर्ति, चीफ रिसर्च साइंटिस्ट रिटायर्ड आईआईएससी बैंगलोर, श्री आरएस मीना, डेप्यूटी डायरेक्टर जनरल एनआईसी दिल्ली. मंच पर प्रोफेसर रजत मूना और आरएस मनी पुरस्कार को ग्रहण करते हुए अनेक मुद्दों पर भारत निर्वाचन आयोग, सीडैक और अन्य हितधारकों के साथ व्यापक विचार विमर्श करने, एरोनेट प्रणाली के निष्पादन में सुधार लाने और भारत निर्वाचन आयोग की आईटी आर्किटेक्चर के विभिन्न पहलुओं पर समय समय पर मार्गदर्शन प्रदान करने के लिए आपको सम्मानित किया जाता है. और अब एक्सपेंडिचर मॉनिटरिंग के लिए विशेष पुरस्कार दिया जाता है श्री पीएस शिवशंकरन को, अपर आयकर निदेशक अन्वेषण तमिलनाडु और पुडुचेरी. निर्वाचन अवधि के दौरान नकदी और कीमती वस्तुओं को लाने और ले जाने पर नजर रखने के लिए सतर्कता पूर्वक छापेमारी कर निर्वाचन कदाचार पर रोक लगाने के लिए और एनफोर्समेंट एजेंसीज के बीच समन्वय की तरफ आपकी कार्यनीतियों के लिए आपको सम्मानित किया जाता है. We now have the special award for the rationalization of polling materials, and this is being awarded to Shri Pratik Dayal, Sub-Collector, Chiran Mahadevi, Tamil Nadu. Awarded for developing a mobile application, Ambai Therdal Perumai app, that's a personal management and information system that provided assistance to the polling personnel. निर्वाचन प्रबंधन के लिए विशेष पुरस्कार दिया जाता है श्री सुशील कुमार, सब डिविजनल मैजिस्ट्रेट, राजसमंद, राजस्थान को। निर्वाचन नियमावली में दिव्यांग मतदाताओं की पहचान करके नामांकन करके उन्हें चिन्हित करने के लिए आपको सम्मानित किया जाता है। इनके प्रयासों के परिणाम स्वरूप एक महीने की अवधि में दिव्यांग मतदाताओं की संख्या 1728 से बढ़कर 3177 हो गई। And now we have the Best Electoral Practices Award for Election Management being awarded to Ms. Mrinmay Joshi, DEO, Palakkad, Kerala. Awarded for coordinating with various departments and conducting manual comparisons of electoral rolls in Palakkad district. Also, numerous activities were conducted in the local tribal languages to boost tribal participation. श्री राजीव कुमार जी का धन्यवाद। और अब मैं श्री अनूप चंद्र पांडे जी से निवेदन करना चाहूँगी पुरस्कार देने के लिए। We have now the National Award for Government Department, PSUs and Agency for Voter Awareness across the country. And this is being awarded to Shri Satyendra Prakash, Principal Director General, Bureau of Outreach and Communication, Ministry of IB, Government of India. Awarded for organizing interpersonal communication programs on voter awareness and education through various media, such as mobile exhibition vans, photo exhibition, online contest, and the others in poll-going state amidst COVID pandemic, helping in enhanced voter education and participation. और अब राष्ट्रीय मीडिया पुरस्कार, मतदाता जागरूकता के लिए राष्ट्रीय मीडिया पुरस्कार दिया जाता है श्री मानस प्रतिम शर्मा, RNU हेड आकाशवाणी, गुवाहाटी, असम को। असम राज्य में आकाशवाणी के सशक्त नेटवर्क के माध्यम से निर्वाचन जागरूकता से संबंधित कहानियां और अन्य गतिविधियों के लिए समाचार बुलेटिन, वाद विवाद, चर्चा, फोन इन कार्यक्रमों के सहित मतदाता जागरूकता कार्यक्रमों का कुशल संचालन कराने के लिए आपको सम्मानित किया जाता है। And we now have the Best Electoral Practices Award for Security Management being awarded to Shri Kamnashi Sen, SP, Baruipur South, 24 Parganas, West Bengal. Awarded for implementing a drone monitoring system to ensure sharp vigil during the West Bengal Legislative Assembly elections in 2021. The drone monitoring system has now been included in the Micro Mission National Police Mission Bureau of Police Research and Development. और अब निर्वाचन प्रबंधन के लिए विशेष पुरस्कार दिया जाता है श्री बी थिलाई वेल, डेप्यूटी CEO, पुडुचेरी। आपने निर्वाचन आयोग के दिशा निर्देशों का कड़ाई से पालन सुनिश्चित करवाया और प्रत्येक मतदान केंद्र पर 100% अश्योर्ड मिनिमम फैसिलिटीज उपलब्ध कराई। आपके प्रयासों के परिणाम स्वरूप पुडुचेरी विधानसभा के साधारण निर्वाचन 2021 में 83.28% मतदाताओं ने मतदान किया। And we now have the Special Award for Electoral Literacy Club being presented to Shri J.L. Gupta, Officer on Special Duty, to the CEO, Delhi. Awarded for strengthening electoral literacy clubs through regular training of all the EROs and DOs, held numerous interactions with CII, with the students and the heads of the educational institutions, thus establishing a maximum number of ELCs and WAF in Delhi. तो सभी पुरस्कार विजेताओं को बहुत-बहुत बधाई, मुबारकबाद, thanking the Honorable Minister and the Commission for presenting these awards. And ladies and gentlemen, apart from these, we also have some of the award winners who could not join us in the award ceremony, but we would also like to congratulate them and also mention their names here. सुरक्षा प्रबंधन के लिए सर्वश्रेष्ठ निर्वाचन पद्धति पुरस्कार दिया जाता है श्री नागेंद्र नाथ त्रिपाठी, पुलिस अधीक्षक, बीरभूम, पश्चिम बंगाल को। उनको बहुत बहुत बधाई। सुरक्षा प्रबंधन के लिए सम्मानित किया जाता है श्रीमती निहारिका भट्ट को, वरिष्ठ पुलिस अधिकारी, कराईकल, पुडुचेरी। और स्पेशल अवार्ड फॉर एक्सेसिबल इलेक्शंस अवॉर्डेड टू मिस जीजा घोष, स्टेट आइकॉन, वेस्ट बंगाल। तो एक बार पुनः सभी पुरस्कार विजेताओं को बहुत बहुत बधाई, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। और जो लोग नहीं आ पाए उनको उनका पुरस्कार भेज दिया जाएगा। And now I would like to humbly request the Honorable Chief Election Commission of India, Shri Sushil Chandra ji, who has been leading the Election Commission of India since April 2021, with his iron will to work in spite of the challenges. I request him for his views and interests on this important occasion of NVD 2022.
Honorable Minister of Law and Justice, Shri Kiran Rijiju ji, my fellow commissioners, Shri Rajiv Kumar ji and Shri Anup Chandra Pandey ji, Honorable former Chief Election Commissioner, Shri Nvd Celebration ji, Honorable Shri Sunil Arora ji, Shri Umesh Sinha, as the Secretary General, and other colleagues from the Commission, Honorable representatives of the political parties, friends and media, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I wish to congratulate all the citizens of our country on the occasion of 12th National Voters' Day. On this day, Election Commission of India was founded a day prior to India becoming a republic. Right to vote is one of the most basic elements of democratic citizenship, both essential and universal. In many parts of the world, this right was achieved after a long and bitter struggle. India, however, chose a very different path. The right to vote was bestowed on every adult citizen of India at the same time as India won her freedom. For a newly independent country with the literacy rate of 18%, this was a truly radical move and a leap of faith by the framers of Constitution. I quote the verse of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, quote, "Some people have doubted the wisdom of adult franchise. Personally, although I took upon it as an experiment, the result of which no one will be able to forecast today, I am not dismayed by it. I am a man of the village, and although I have had a life in cities for a pretty long time, on account of my birth, my roots are still there. I therefore know the village people who will constitute the bulk of this vast electorate. In my opinion, our people possesses intelligence and common sense. They also have a culture which the sophisticated people of today may not appreciate, but which is solid." Unquote. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, President, Constituent Assembly, 26 November 1949. This year we are celebrating 75th year of India's independence. It is time to look back and see how, against all odds, India emerged as a strong and robust democracy. It is time to pay tribute to the millions of voters who are the very sinews of our democratic framework. I believe that every poll day, when citizens queue up at the polling stations to cast their vote, is a voter's day in itself. Election Commission of India proudly dedicates the National Voters' Day to each and every voter of India. The theme for this year's NVD is Making Elections Inclusive, Accessible, Participative. This theme conveys that democracy in a meaningful only when there is equal and free participation of all. These are humanistic ideals which cannot be seen in isolation. I recall the concluding remarks of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was also India's first law minister, in the Constitution Assembly of November 25, 1949, quote, "These principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity are not to be treated as separate items in a trinity. They form a union of trinity in the sense that to diverse one from the other is to defeat the very purpose of democracy." So this equal participation is one of the most important things as far as the elections are concerned. Just to give an idea of the long journey we have traveled together with our voters on the path of democracy. When the first general elections were conducted in 1951, there were only 17.3 crore voters. During 2019 elections, the number of voters was around 91 crore, and today there are more than 95.3 crore voters, of which 49 crore are male voters and 46 crore are female voters. Among these registered voters, there are 1.92 crore senior citizens, aged 80 plus, 81.39 lakh persons with disabilities, 19.24 lakh service voters, and 1.37 crore newly registered voters. Behind this big data, there are a number of human stories of innovation, of grit and determination, of placing duty before self, or belief in the ballot. Whether it is polling team in Anjwa, Arunachal Pradesh, which traveled in hilly terrain 300 miles, 4 days for one voter, or a team Zara, which was stranded after poll for 20 days due to bad weather, but they got the election conducted. On this NVD, I wish to express gratitude to all the field functionaries, booth level officers, security personnel, and members of CAPF. Without your support, we cannot conduct elections. In the last 2 years, many of the field functionaries and their families got infected with COVID, yet they returned to perform their duties and did not let the conduct of election suffer any disruptions. Election Commission of India has made tremendous efforts in 2 directions: one, to increase and facilitate registration of voters, and second, making polling stations a space more conducive, comfortable, and accessible. Several initiatives have been taken to increase the participation of women, persons with disabilities, and senior citizens, which are core of the election process. This has been our focus area, and it has brought good results. The number of women voters during general elections 2019 was 43.85 crores, which has increased to more than 46 crore now. Due credit for this must be given to all our women folks, the women booth level officers who talk to the women folk in their own language and convince them to participate in elections. We also ensured that polling stations were located closer to habitation, besides better facilities like separate toilets, crèches, etc. We also set up all women-managed booths. In the current elections also, which we are going to hold, 1,620 such all women-managed booths are being set up across the 5 states. This gives a sense of empowerment to the women who have been registered as a voter. ECI has made consistent efforts and has gone that extra mile to empower and facilitate the participation of senior citizens and persons with disabilities. Having coordinated with several departments, NGOs, and obtaining data from them, we have mapped more than 77 lakh persons with disability till now. ECI has streamlined various initiatives like ramps, wheelchair, and volunteer assistance, Braille Epic card, free transport to and from polling stations, priority voting, and provisions of assured minimum facilities at the polling stations. ECI's PWD app helps such voters to get enrolled and get access to special facilitation services. All polling stations are now situated on ground level, and this credit goes to Mr. Sunil Arora, who is sitting here as a former CEC, who ensured, in spite of all opposition from the field, that all polling stations should be on the ground floor. So, sir, this is your contribution, a special contribution, and one of the contribution to the Commission. To spread the message of empowerment, PWD icons are appointed by the Commission. In every election, we set up some booths that are exclusively managed by persons with disabilities. Continuing our resolve that no voter is left behind, Commission brought the polling booth to the doorstep of those who find it difficult to go to the polling booths to cast their vote by offering them the option of postal ballot. Virtually, we have brought the ECI at the doorstep of those persons who cannot cast their vote because of the age, disability, or COVID infections. This new facility is now offered to all voters aged 80 plus, persons with disabilities, and those who are COVID affected and quarantined. Friends, getting citizens to register is one thing. Getting them to the polling station is another important area. It needs a different strategy altogether. ECI has been constantly trying to improve the polling station environment by providing better infrastructure, provision of all facilities like electricity, drinking water, toilets, waiting area, ramps for PWDs, and place to sit for the elderly. Targeted interventions are undertaken through sweep in areas with low voter turnout in order to increase participation. The Commission has identified the polling areas, the polling booths where the voter turnout is less, and we are trying through various measures, including the sweep interventions, that the persons can be motivated to cast their vote freely. They should come forward so that the voter turnout can be increased. Until and unless everybody participates in the voting process, until the turnout is more, the democracy cannot be strengthened. As you know, the sudden impact of COVID-19 presented an unprecedented situation before the Commission. We had to ensure the safety of both the vote and the voter. Amidst the pandemic, elections to 6 state assemblies besides many by-elections, were conducted with full health and safety measures in place. World over, there were apprehension that COVID-19 would lead to low voter turnout. However, the determined Indian voter, with unflinching faith in democracy, defied naysayers and skeptics and came out in large numbers to vote in all elections held during the pandemic. I'll give you the turnout of the other states which went to the polls in pandemic. The voter turnout in Bihar was 59.7%, which was more than the last elections. Assam, 82.42%. Tamil Nadu, 73.63%. Kerala, 76%. West Bengal, 82%. And Puducherry, 83%. So this showed that the persons were not deterred. Their communication was proper, that the polling booths are safe. They were absolutely explained that all arrangements of the COVID compliance behavior are there on the polling booths, and I am very happy to say that the voters complied with all protocols, and they came out in large numbers to cast their votes, because of which the percentage is so high, and in some of the states, the women turnout was much more than the man turnout. France is equally essential to curb the influence of money and muscle power in elections. Efforts should be made by society as a whole, not only by the Election Commission, but by the whole society as a whole, that people with criminal antecedent are discouraged from participation. For this, Commission has recently launched the Know Your Candidate app, which provides voters with information about candidates, including their criminal antecedent, to enable voters to make an informed choice. Ultimately, it is a choice of voter, but all data regarding the candidate is being provided by this app, as well as by the various websites of the political parties and the website of the Commission. As far as inducement-free elections are concerned, that is one of the important motto of the Commission. And for that, various measures like appointing of the expenditure observers, like curbing of the cash flows, curbing of the liquor, curbing of other types of inducements which can influence the voters are being taken, and very strict directions have been given to the field also to stop all these practices. Every year on NVD, we also give NVD awards on various areas of election management to individuals and organizations who have rendered yeoman service in furthering the cause of democracy and elections in India. This year, too, all such elections heroes have been felicitated just before now, and I congratulate all such persons who have kept duty before the self and make all the voters proud, and they have done really a tremendous job during this COVID period and performed their duty very well. I really congratulate all of you. Friends, election process is underway in another 5 states of Goa, Manipur, Punjab, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh, with 690 assembly constituencies, 18.3 crore voters across 2.5 lakh polling stations. Commission has issued stringent guidelines to be followed by all political parties and candidates. We have also emphasized upon increasing the pace of vaccination in all poll-going states, and all arrangements will be made to ensure that this election is absolutely safe. I will definitely appreciate the work and the efforts of the political parties also in this regard, that they have been avoiding the COVID-appropriate behavior during these elections, and they are also becoming an example to others as to how the COVID behavior should be followed properly. And I need your full support for these ensuing elections which are coming in the next months only. Today, the 2 books were launched, and one was Leap of Faith. I would like to mention here that this book, the idea of this book was conceived again by Sri Sundar Arora, who was the earlier CEC. As after completion of our all elections in the COVID, he thought that a book can be put in which the efforts of the persons who have done the work during COVID should be highlighted. And the Leap of Faith was also coined by him. I really am thankful to you for giving that particular name to this book. Once again, I congratulate the voters of the country, especially the new voters, the women, the senior citizens, and PWDs. We cannot thank you enough. Whatever be the situation, your unflinching faith in the ECI and your belief in the democracy has been steadfast. I am immensely grateful to Honorable Vice President of India for accepting our invitation as a chief guest at the National Voters Day, whose message will be, played right now. I'm thankful to Honorable Minister of Law and Justice, Shri Kiran Rijiju, for sparing his valuable time and joining the Nvd celebrations. My thanks to all members of political parties for being here with us today. And I'm really grateful to the former CECs once again for being with the ECI family. I'm thankful to the media who came in large number and helped us and to spread our message till the last mile, till the last voter of this country. Thank you so much to all of you. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very comprehensive address, congratulating and appreciative message for all the awardees and the former CECs and everyone, and also giving us an account of the various consistent efforts which the Election Commission of India has been taking and continues to take towards making the elections not only more inclusive, accessible and participative, but also being organized in a very safe and secure environment and free and fair elections. Thank you, sir. और अब देवी सजनों, मैं आज के हमारे विशेष अतिथि हमारे माननीय केंद्रीय कानून और न्याय मंत्री श्री किरण रिजिजू जी से निवेदन करती हूँ। किरण रिजिजू जी जो कानूनविद हैं, आप सभी जानते होंगे, ही इज़ अ ग्रेजुएट इन लॉ, लोकतांत्रिक परंपराओं के साथ साथ जानकार हैं। उनसे करबद्ध निवेदन है कि हम सभी के मार्गदर्शन हेतु अपने विचारों से हमें अनुग्रहित करने के लिए।
Sri Sushil Chandraji, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner, Sri Rajiv Kumarji, Honorable Election Commissioner, Sri Anup Chandra Pandeji, Honorable Election Commissioner, and both former Chief Election Commissioners, Chawlaji and Aroraji, our representatives from various political parties, Umesh Sinha ji, Secretary General, Dharmendra Sharma ji, Senior DEC, National Award winners, future and new voters, media friends, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to extend my greetings to every fellow Indian on this very important National Voters' Day. This is the 12th occasion we are observing National Voters' Day. We all know the Election Commission of India has a glorious history of 70 years journey, and we also know that it has transformed itself in the process. With the addition of new challenges, Election Commission of India has been aptly handling all the new opportunities and challenges both. I would like to extend special greetings and congratulations to all the new voters. It is very exciting to be a voter in India. Sometimes we don't realize the importance of being a voter in India. Being a voter in the largest democracy means you are part of the democratic process in the largest democracy of the world. Although it is a voting right, but for me, I always consider this voting right is a voting privilege. And this privilege, we should dearly hold it. Sometimes I also feel that to be a voter in India and to hold that card, the voter ID card, that card is the most important document in India. No other documents can render you the power and privileges that the voting card, the voter ID card can offer you. So we should celebrate it. So the young voters who are going to get this new voting ID card. Please celebrate, understand the value of it. It's not the question of only voting to a person or a political party, but we are strengthening Indian democracy. The Election Commission has announced many awards, but for me, I would like to honestly say that the real award goes to the Election Commission of India. You have done a wonderful job. Both the former election commissioners are here, and so many of the people whom we have worked with. I have always said that I have fought 7 elections, although I may not look that old, but I have already fought 7 elections, and I have come across many dedicated election officers, be a porter, be an election officer on the polling day, observer, or be election commissioner. I have dealt with so many, but I must say one thing, the amount of dedication every member of the team puts in, that makes Indian democracy successful. We celebrate and we normally talk about Indian democracy and the success of Indian democracy, but the root cause of the success of Indian democracy is the successful electoral system in India. Without successful election, democracy just cannot sustain. Recently, we passed some amendments in the parliament. Due to so much of ruckus and problems in the parliament, I was handicapped that I could not explain. I wanted to speak at length about the benefits of the 4 amendments which we have brought in the election laws, but there were issues in the parliament. Don't worry, I'm not going to explain here in detail. मैं इस चीज को इसलिए कह रहा हूं कि जो हम कहना चाह रहे थे और जो इलेक्शन कमीशन ने जो मेहनत किया और जो हमारे मंत्रालय के हमारे सेक्रेटरी मैडम और पूरा टीम यहाँ है डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ लेजिस्लेटिव ब्रांच के जो तालमेल किया वो लोगों तक जाना चाहिए। जब कोई अच्छा काम होता है और अच्छा काम के पीछे जो लोग लगे हुए हैं उनका चेहरा भी तो आगे आना चाहिए कि सुशील चंद्र जी आपके दोनों कमिश्नर्स और टीम ने क्या किया है, वो भी अगर मुझे 2 मिनट या 10 मिनट अगर पार्लियामेंट में बताने का मौका मिलता तो मुझे भी बहुत खुशी होती। तो आपका अच्छा काम मुझे पार्लियामेंट के फ्लोर में बोलने का मौका नहीं मिला, इसके लिए मैं ज्यादा दुखी हूं। लो तो चलो पास हो गया, कम चर्चा किया, हमने पास कर दिया, अच्छी बात है। आपके टीम हमारे ऑफिस में बहुत बार आए और आपके इलेक्शन कमीशन के टीम और मेरे मंत्रालय के सारा अधिकारी आपस में रेगुलर टच में रहते हैं। मैं खुद 3 बार रिव्यू मीटिंग लिया और आगे भी जाकर के बहुत और रिफॉर्म्स लाना है। इसका कोई यहां मुझे जिक्र करने का आवश्यकता नहीं है, लेकिन मेरे मन में भी बहुत इलेक्शन रिफॉर्म्स का चीज सोचा हुआ है और आपके मन में भी है। और इलेक्शन कमीशन और हमारे विधि और न्याय मंत्रालय के बीच में जो तालमेल है, ये अच्छा तालमेल ऐसे ही बना के अगर हम रखेंगे तो हम बहुत जल्द जो भी रिफॉर्म्स लाना है वो हम ला सकते हैं। हम ये हमेशा मानते हैं कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के मुताबिक हम सबको अपना अपना रोल डिफाइन किया हुआ है, हम इंडिपेंडेंटली काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन तालमेल नहीं होगा तो फिर काम नहीं होगा। मैंने जुडिशरी के जितने टीम को भी यही बात मैंने दोहराया है, सारे चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजेस, सारे हाई कोर्ट के जजेस, सबको भी यही कहा कि देयर आर लाइफ बियॉन्ड फाइल्स एंड फॉर्मेलिटीज। तालमेल होना चाहिए। हम इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ जुडिशरी, इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ इलेक्शन कमीशन, इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ लेजिस्लेचर और एग्जीक्यूटिव के नाम में आपस में तालमेल नहीं रहेंगे तो फिर काम कैसे करेंगे, देश कैसे चलाएंगे। तालमेल बहुत अच्छी तरह रहना हमारे लिए जरूरी है, लेकिन इंटरफेरेंस हम नहीं करेंगे। अपने अपने सीमित बाउंड्री में रह करके अच्छा टीम के साथ, अच्छा स्पिरिट के साथ काम करना है और रिस्पेक्ट होना चाहिए। अगर कोई इलेक्शन कमीशन को कोई क्रिटिसाइज करता है, डेमोक्रेसी में ठीक है, क्रिटिसाइज करने का राइट है, लेकिन भाषा का मर्यादा। अगर कोर्ट इलेक्शन कमीशन के बारे में कुछ कहता है, कह सकते हैं, कोर्ट के पास अधिकार है, लेकिन कोर्ट के जजेस को भी सोचना होगा कि क्या भाषा यूज कर रहे हैं आप। इलेक्शन कमीशन में जो काम करते हैं वो भी किस परिस्थिति में काम कर रहे हैं, उसका भाव को समझना चाहिए। कमेंट पास करना आसान है, उसके पीछे जाकर के उसका तकलीफ, बैकग्राउंड को समझना ये आसानी नहीं होते हैं। आजकल हम लोग कहते हैं कि सब पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज इलेक्शन में लगे हुए हैं, इलेक्शन कमीशन में लगे हुए हैं, हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं। अगर इलेक्शन कमीशन सक्सेसफुल है, इसमें पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का भी योगदान है, लोग, भारत की जनता का भी योगदान है। विदाउट द सपोर्ट of the political parties and without the cooperation of the people of India, nothing can succeed. ये है। तो इसीलिए अगर इलेक्शन कमीशन को लोग अगर तीखी आलोचना करती भी हैं, लेकिन एप्रिसिएशन भी करते हैं, दोनों है। मेरा सिर्फ इतना कहना है कि अगर हम आलोचना करते हैं तो उसमें तथ्य होना चाहिए। There are efforts to discredit the Election Commission of India's effort. The steps and those elements whichever try to discredit Election Commission of India are actually trying to discredit the democratic process of our country. और इंडिया का डेमोक्रेसी को चैलेंज करना चाहता है तो उसका एक दूसरा तरीका ये भी है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन को ही चैलेंज करो, क्योंकि इलेक्शन का जो प्रोसेस फ्रॉड है तो इट इज एक्चुअली अ फ्रॉड ऑन द डेमोक्रेसी। फुल प्रूफ नहीं हो सकते हैं, करेक्टिव मेजर्स का जगह होता है, लेकिन मैं ये मानता हूं कि इलेक्शन कमीशन का जो समय समय पे जैसे चैलेंजेस को हैंडल किया है, उसको देखते हुए इलेक्शन कमीशन को क्रिटिसाइज करने का बहुत ज्यादा गुंजाइश नहीं है। जो कोविड-19 आया, बहुत लोगों ने सोचा है कि इलेक्शन कैसे हो सकते हैं, कोविड आ गई है, इलेक्शन डेट आ गई है, देयर आर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बाइंडिंग्स कि इतने दिन में इलेक्शन होना चाहिए और सरकार का गठन होना चाहिए। तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्राइसिस आने नहीं दिया। एक दो स्पेशल रिलैक्सेशन के लिए हमारे पास फाइल आए, हमने किया। हाँ, कोविड के चलते देयर आर स्पेशल सर्कमस्टांसेस, हमने कुछ रिलैक्सेशन किया है डिपेंडिंग ऑन द सिचुएशन, लेकिन जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑब्लिगेशन है उसको पूरा किया है। तो ये कोविड जैसे चैलेंज में काम करना, और अगर अभी इलेक्शन कमीशन कुछ किताबें ला रहे हैं सक्सेस स्टोरीज, मेरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में कुछ ऐसा जो पोलिंग स्टेशंस है वहां इलेक्शन कराना आसान नहीं है। एक जगह है वहां 2 वोटर थे और 2 वोट लेने के लिए 10 लोग जाते हैं, तो वोट तो 2 है लेकिन पूरा टीम जाते हैं, लेकिन वहां कोई वायलेंस नहीं है, तो कोई सिक्योरिटी लोग नहीं जा रहे हैं, एक मुश्किल से जाते होंगे, अदरवाइज तो पूरा टीम जाएगा तो 50 लोग जाना पड़ेगा। और कई ऐसे भी जगह है कि वहां पहुंचना मुश्किल है। कुछ कहानी है, मैं कहानी यहां नहीं बताऊंगा, लेकिन उसमें कई जो इलेक्शन ऑफिसर्स हैं अपना जान तक गवाया है। कितने आपने पढ़ा होगा न्यूज़पेपर में, कितने इलेक्शन जो ऑफिसर्स हैं, इलेक्शन के ऑफिशियल टीम के मेंबर्स अपने ड्यूटी के समय अपने जान गवाया है। तो उनके लिए मैं समझता हूं आगे भी याद हम लोग को करना चाहिए। अगर अवार्ड उनके लिए भी पोस्टुमसली भी हम लोग याद करना है तो करना चाहिए, बिकॉज वी हैव सीन मेनी डेडिकेटेड ऑफिसर्स, दे गेव देयर लाइफ टू कंडक्ट ए सक्सेसफुल इलेक्शंस। मैं और ज्यादा तो कहने नहीं चाहता हूं, लेकिन 1-2 बातें हैं जो अभी जो 4 इलेक्शन रिफॉर्म्स लाए हैं उसका सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिशियरी जो है ये यंग वोटर्स है। अभी हमारे तीनों इलेक्शन कमिश्नर साहब ने जिक्र किया है। पहले जो एनोमली था, मैं इसको सोच रहा था कि ये दिमाग में पहले क्यों नहीं आया या हमने एफर्ट क्यों नहीं किया, कि बोलता तो है कि आप 18 साल हो गए हैं, आपको वोटिंग राइट मिल गया है, लेकिन वोटिंग राइट तो कहां मिलता था बताइए। you have actually become an eligible voter by crossing 18 years of age, but there was no process that there was no provision that you can be included as a voter. तो मैं भी जब मंत्री बने, लॉ मिनिस्टर बनने के बाद ये मेरा दिमाग में भी आया कि 18 साल हो गए हैं लेकिन आप वोट नहीं डाल सकते हैं। तो पहला तो मैंने कहा था, जब ये हमारे चंद्रभूषण पूरा टीम आए थे, मैंने कहा कि जब उसका क्वालिफाई होता है उसी दिन वोटर लिस्ट क्यों नहीं होना चाहिए? When you are 18 years old, immediately you must have the entitlement to vote. फिर there are some administrative challenges, तब जाकर के ये 4 qualifying dates आया। इसी प्रकार से जो जेंडर न्यूट्रल लॉ है, आप सोचिए हमने वहां वाइफ डाल के रखा हुआ है, हस्बैंड का कोई जगह ही नहीं है, ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? तो इसलिए इसको जेंडर न्यूट्रल कर दिया। कभी कभी पुरुष होना भी थोड़ा मुश्किल बात है, लेकिन हम लोग उसको झेलने का ताकत भी रखते हैं, इसलिए मैं इसको नहीं कहूंगा। लेकिन जेंडर न्यूट्रल जो है, इसको लगता है कि छोटा सा एक ये अमेंडमेंट बिल है, लेकिन छोटा नहीं है, ये बहुत बड़ा अमेंडमेंट हमने किया है। इसी प्रकार से जो इलेक्शन प्रोमिसेस का लेकर के, और सबसे बड़ा जो आधार को लेकर के पॉलिटिकली जिसका विवाद बनाया गया है, वो तो जब पीपुल्स रिप्रेजेंटेशन एक्ट में लिखा हुआ है कि एक आदमी एक जगह से ज्यादा 2 जगह 2 सूची में नहीं हो सकता है नाम, उसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए? ये आधार वाला सबसे इफेक्टिव है। और इसके अलावा भी मैंने तो उस समय कहा है कि किसी के पास में और भी सुझाव है तो वो भी दीजिए। इट इज बेसिकली फर्दरिंग द प्रोविजंस देयर इन द पीपुल्स रिप्रेजेंटेशन एक्ट। We are a team, we may be from different political parties, but मिलके काम करना है। तो इसीलिए इलेक्शन कमीशन के टीम और हमारे सरकार, खास करके हमारे जो डिपार्टमेंट है, लेजिस्लेटिव डिपार्टमेंट है, बहुत अच्छा तालमेल के साथ जो काम कर रहे हैं, मैं भी बहुत खुश हूं। और आज यहाँ हम एकत्रित हुए हैं तो एक अच्छा टीम भावना, टीम स्पिरिट के साथ हम आगे भी काम करेंगे। पुनः मैं आज जो अवार्ड विनर्स हैं, स्पेशली जो स्टेट से जितने भी जो टीम आए हैं, मैं आपको खास करके बधाई देना चाहता हूं, बिकॉज यू हैव बीन गिवन सम अवार्ड्स, बट द मोर इंपॉर्टेंट अवार्ड इज द स्पिरिट इन विच यू हैव कैरिड फॉरवर्ड योर इलेक्शन ड्यूटीज, एंड यू डिजर्व स्पेशल salutation from the people of the country for making all of us proud as a successful democracy. Once again, I pay my tributes to all those people who have given up their lives, who sacrificed their lives to conduct successful election. And again, thank you, Election Commission, for organizing this wonderful event. All the organizers, members of this organizing committee team, media team, and my last but most important congratulations message to all the young new voters of India. Be proud of being an Indian voter. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, sir, for your very inspiring address, congratulating not only the new voters, but also the Election Commission of India for the various initiatives which it has been taking, also raising certain concerns and talking about the amendments which have been made, and also very valuable suggestions which you gave. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपके इस उत्साहवर्धक संदेश के लिए, और यकीनन ऐसे उत्साहित शब्द सभी में एक नई ऊर्जा, एक शक्ति जागृत करते हैं, साथ साथ पल पल संबल भी बढ़ाते हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। And ladies and gentlemen, as you know that the Honourable Chief Guest of today is Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu ji, the Honourable Vice President of India. And as stated earlier, due to health reasons, he's not been able to attend this function, but he has sent across his